6:28 on a rainy Tuesday. The little cafe hadn't changed. The old wooden floor still whispered beneath every careful step. A student closed her notebook near the counter by the door. Steam danced above fresh coffee like it always used to do. I walked toward the window without even thinking why, and there it was, the table we always chose. Some places remember us long after we've forgotten how often we used to smile there. At 6:28, the table by the window was waiting quietly, like no time had passed. At 6:28, the rain painted silver lines across the evening glass, and suddenly I could almost hear you laugh. The table we always chose still knew our story. The same old coffee grinder filled the room with gentle sound. A couple shared one slice of cake near the bookshelf in the corner. Someone opened up a novel beside a cooling latte, while soft old pop kept drifting through familiar wooden walls. I rested both my hands on the edge of the table, wondering if memories could recognize us too. Maybe love doesn't disappear. Maybe it quietly becomes part of a place we once called home. At 6:28, the table by the window was waiting quietly, like no time had passed. At 6:28, the rain painted silver lines across the evening glass, and suddenly I could almost hear you laugh. The table we always chose still knew our story. People leave, seasons change, cities grow older, but some tables keep every conversation inside the grain of the wood. At 6:28, the table by the window no longer waited for you. It welcomed me instead. At 6:28, the coffee felt warmer, the rain sounded softer, and I realized some memories aren't meant to make us cry, only to remind us we were once very happy. The lights outside began to glow, and another evening quietly found its place. "6:47 on a quiet Wednesday. The rain had just begun. Umbrellas bloomed along the street like flowers in the dusk. Bus stop 23 looked smaller than I remembered, but the old green bench was still standing there. A student checked her timetable. Someone folded yesterday's paper. Cars passed through the wet streets, leaving silver trails behind. Funny how some places stay the same even after we become strangers. At 6:47, bus stop 23 still felt like the place where we'd say, see you tomorrow. At 6:47, the buses came and went. The rain fell softly, and I found myself smiling without knowing why. Waiting didn't hurt anymore. You always stood beside the map, reading routes you knew by heart, pretending not to notice when I quietly looked your way. The traffic light changed colors, the crosswalk slowly filled, and the smell of roasted chestnuts drifted through the evening air. A little girl laughed loudly, holding her father's hand. Life kept moving gently, like it always does. Maybe waiting was never about buses. Maybe it was always about one more moment together. At 6:47, bus stop 23 still felt like the place where we'd say, see you tomorrow. At 6:47, the buses came and went. The rain fell softly, and I found myself smiling without knowing why. Waiting didn't hurt anymore. Some promises are never spoken, they simply live inside familiar places where ordinary evenings once became unforgettable. At 6:47, bus stop 23 didn't bring you back, it brought back the best version of me. At 6:47, the rain became lighter, another bus arrived, and this time I watched it leave without looking back. The street grew quieter, the umbrellas disappeared, and evening carried me home. "7:36 on a rainy Thursday. The platform shimmered bright. Drops of water followed strangers down the station stairs. The train arrived with tired headlights, breathing into the night. Doors opened quietly like they always had. I reached inside my coat pocket, searching for my ticket, and found the faded subway pass we used that winter. Some journeys end at the final station, some continue inside our hearts. At 7:36, the last train didn't feel lonely. Your memory found a seat right beside mine. At 7:36, A college student closed her eyes, holding yesterday's flowers. An office worker loosened his tie, watching the tunnel lights across the aisle. An elderly couple shared roasted sweet potatoes without saying very much. They didn't need to. Outside the rain traced silver lines across the darkened glass, while the station names passed one by one. Life keeps moving, station after station, but some memories choose to ride with us. At 7:36, the last train didn't feel lonely. Your memory found a seat right beside mine. At 7:36, the city slipped past the windows like pages of an old diary. And for a little while, the silence felt like home. Maybe healing isn't arriving somewhere new. Maybe it's realizing you no longer fear the journey alone. At 7:36, the last train didn't feel lonely. It carried old memories toward a quieter tomorrow. At 7:30, slow, the rain finally slowed. The tunnel opened into lights, and somewhere beyond the window, tomorrow was already waiting. The train doors opened, someone smiled politely, and the evening continued on. Eight 12 on a Friday evening, rain covered every street. Streetlight shimmered gently across the quiet road. The sidewalk smelled of summer rain mixed with roasted chestnuts. People hurried home, holding umbrellas overhead. You always walked beside me, tilting yours my way, pretending not to notice your shoulder getting wet. Love was never loud, it lived inside little things like this. At 8:12, one umbrella was enough for two shadows. At 8:12, the rain kept falling, but somehow the world felt warm. One umbrella to quiet hearts, one ordinary evening I'll never forget. We stopped beside the bookstore, waiting for the light. A bicycle rolled past slowly, splashing through the rain. You laughed without a reason, brushing water from your sleeve, while soft music drifted from a nearby cafe. The traffic lights reflected across the wet pavement, turning every puddle into tiny pieces of gold. Some memories don't 8:12, the rain slowly faded. The street lights glowed and two shadows walked toward tomorrow without knowing how precious that evening would become. The rain became lighter, the clouds drifted away, and night embraced the city once again. "8:40 on a rainy Monday, the traffic slowed again. Tiny drops kept dancing on every passing car. People gathered quietly, waiting by the crossing. Umbrellas painted colors across the evening street. I stood where we once waited, shoulder close to shoulder, listening to the signal countdown to the light. Some roads we walk together, some roads we learn alone. At 8:41, the crosswalk turned green again, but this time I walked alone. The rain became much softer, the city kept moving, and so did I. The crosswalk turned green again, not to erase the past, but to lead me toward tomorrow. The bakery on the corner still smelled of warm bread. A florist closed the shutters just before the rain returned. Someone hurried across the street holding takeout coffee. A little boy splashed happily through a shallow puddle. Life never stopped to wait for memories, yet somehow it made room for them every single day. Maybe goodbye isn't one moment, maybe it's 1,000 ordinary evenings like this. At 8:41, the crosswalk turned green again, but this time I walked alone. The rain became much softer, the city kept moving, and so did I. streets grew quiet and home didn't feel so far away. On a rainy Thursday, the storm had drifted east. Only scattered drops remained upon the quiet streets. Street lights woke one after another along the riverside, turning every puddle into little pieces of gold. A cyclist passed in silence, following the empty road, while the evening breeze carried the scent of wet trees. After every rainfall, the city breathes again, and somehow, so do we. At 9:14, the street lights after the rain made the whole city look like it remembered us. At 9:14, the river held the lights like 1,000 quiet stars, and every reflection felt like another chance to smile again. A convenience store still glowed at the corner of the bridge. Someone carried instant noodles home beneath the night. Two friends shared quiet laughter outside a tiny bakery, while an old melody escaped from an open cafe door. The evening wasn't perfect, nothing extraordinary happened, yet somehow everything felt enough. Maybe peace doesn't arrive with loud celebrations. Maybe it comes one quiet evening at a time. At 9:14, the street lights after the rain made the whole city look like it remembered us. At 9:14, the river held the lights like 1,000 quiet stars, and every reflection felt like another chance to smile again. I used to believe the brightest lights belong to yesterday. Now I know they've been waiting in tomorrow all along. At 9:14, the street lights after the rain didn't ask me to forget the past. At 9:14, they simply showed me a gentler road ahead, where memories walk beside hope instead of sorrow. The wind grew softer, the river grew quieter, and the city felt like home again. On a quiet Sunday, the book cafe almost slept. Only one lamp remained beside the wooden shelves. hours outside, the rain had ended, leaving silent window panes while soft jazz floated gently through the empty room. I reached for an old novel hidden on the highest shelf. A faded paper bookmark slipped into my hands. Some stories stop before the final page, yet somehow they stay with us forever. At 9:48, your bookmark waited on page 83, just where you left it. At 9:48, the book stayed open. The years kept turning, but one small page refused to move on. The book you never finished something inside me. A young woman turned a page near the rainy window. Someone quietly stirred sugar into a warm cafe latte. The owner closed another curtain as the evening settled in, and every little sound felt softer than before. I smiled without noticing, running my fingers gently across your handwritten notes in the margin. Maybe unfinished stories are not mistakes. Maybe they simply teach us how to remember. At 9:48, your bookmark waited on page 83, just where you left it. At 9:48, the book stayed open. The years kept turning, but one small page refused to move on. The book you never finished something inside me. Some people don't stay forever, but they quietly leave new chapters inside our hearts, waiting to be written. At 9:48, I gently closed the book without reading the final page. At 9:48, the lights grew warmer, the room grew quieter, and I finally understood some endings don't need words, only gratitude. The cafe lights dimmed, the rain was gone, and another story began. "10:17 on a quiet Sunday. The cafes had closed their doors, only warm apartment windows brightened the sleeping streets. The rain had left the sidewalks shining beneath the lamps. A cool breeze carried the scent of summer trees. I placed both hands inside my coat pockets and followed the familiar road home. Some nights don't change the world, they simply change the heart that walks through them. At 10:17, I walked home without small convenience stores to welcome late-night customers, and old men watered flowers outside a quiet house. A bicycle rested against a wooden fence, while somewhere in the distance a train softly disappeared. The moon appeared between drifting clouds, as if the sky itself had finally grown lighter. Home isn't always a place, sometimes it's the peace you finally find inside yourself. At 10:17, I walked home without looking back for the very first time. At 10:17, the city stayed behind. The memories stayed beside me, but neither one asked me to stop walking home without looking back. Felt like coming home to myself. The rain had ended, the lights grew quiet, the streets remembered every step, but they no longer held me there. Tomorrow was already waiting beyond the next corner. At 10:17, I walked home without looking back, carrying every memory with gratitude. At 10:17, the night embraced me. The stars appeared above the silent rooftops, and I smiled, not because I had forgotten, but because I had finally learned how to remember without hurting. The front door closed, the kettle slowly sang outside. The city fell asleep inside. My heart finally did too. Morning came without asking. Summer quietly folded into autumn. At 7:08, the first leaf landed beside my shoes without a sound. At 7:08, the morning breeze knew something I hadn't noticed yet. Maybe every season begins this quietly. The bakery opened early, fresh bread warmed the air. Someone arranged flowers outside a tiny shop. The cafe changed its menu, adding cinnamon again, while bicycles rolled slowly across familiar streets. Nothing felt different until I looked down and saw one golden leaf waiting on the sidewalk. The newspaper stand displayed today's headlines. A young office worker wrapped both hands around a paper coffee cup. An old man swept yesterday away without saying a word. The city never announced that autumn had arrived. It simply appeared, one small detail at a time. beside my shoes, and somehow everything felt new. At 7:08, the sky looked brighter, the streets looked kinder, and the season quietly invited me to begin again. The breeze grew cooler, the cafe filled with people, and autumn began its story. The windows opened to a cooler breeze. Summer quietly walked away. At 8:15, the cafe changed to cinnamon, and suddenly everything felt slower. At 8:15, the morning coffee smelled like autumn before the leaves even turned gold. Someone carried flowers across the little square. The baker placed fresh pastries inside the wooden case. A handwritten chalkboard stood beside the doorway. Seasonal cinnamon latte written with a smile. Steam rose gently from another waiting cup, while quiet conversations filled the room like familiar songs. A woman closed her umbrella, though the rain had disappeared. Two students laughed softly, sharing one blueberry scone. Outside, the trees were still green, but something in the air had already changed. The city never hurried to welcome autumn. It simply made room for it. Maybe seasons don't arrive with colder weather. Maybe they begin with one familiar place, feeling different. At 8:15, the cafe changed to cinnamon. Somehow, so did I. At 8:15, the morning sunlight touched the wooden tables like it had been waiting all summer to come back again. Someone opened the cafe door. The little bell rang, and autumn walked inside. The sky was still blue-gray. Morning hadn't spoken yet. but the city was already breathing. At 6:42, the morning tram carried more dreams than passengers. At 6:42, the windows caught the first light before the sun found the streets. The coffee shop lights glowed before sunrise. A baker opened the wooden shutters. Someone watered flowers outside a tiny bookstore, while fresh bread filled the morning air. The tram rolled quietly past familiar corners. Its gentle bell echoed through empty roads like a promise that every day begins again. A young nurse smiled softly, holding a paper cup. An elderly man folded yesterday's newspaper. Two students whispered about another busy week. The city slowly gathered, one ordinary life at a time. No one hurried, yet everyone was already moving toward tomorrow. Morning never asks if we're ready. It simply opens another page and waits for us to write it. At 6:42, the morning tram carried more dreams than passengers. At 6:42, the sun finally reached the rooftops. The streets became golden, and another season quietly smiled. Hello. The tram disappeared beyond the trees, leaving the city wide awake. The morning opened like fresh bread, warm and familiar. At 9:06, fresh flowers outside the bakery changed the whole street. At 9:06, people smiled without knowing why. Maybe happiness looks this simple. The baker carried another tray of bread. Steam drifted slowly into the cool spring air. A little girl stopped to smell the flowers while her mother laughed beside the doorway. Someone ordered coffee, someone bought tulips, someone waved hello across the narrow street. Morning quietly gathered, one beautiful moment at a time. The cafe windows reflected soft sunshine. A delivery bicycle passed without a sound. An old couple shared one paper bag filled with warm pastries for the walk home. The wind lifted a few flower petals, sending them dancing along the sidewalk, as if spring wanted everyone to notice. Maybe joy doesn't arrive with fireworks. familiar. The bakery bell rang. Someone opened the door, and spring walked inside. The afternoon slowed down like an old photograph, fading gently. At 3:17, I found a letter without a date inside an old book. At 3:17, the paper had grown yellow, but every word still sounded new. Some memories never needed a calendar to stay alive. The little post office had fresh paint on the walls, yet the old red mailbox still stood in the corner. A bicycle passed slowly along the narrow lane, while someone watered flowers outside a Hannah gate. The envelope felt lighter than I remembered, but somehow it carried an entire season inside. The cafe nearby played quiet jazz. An elderly couple shared one slice of cake. The afternoon sunlight moved across the table, turning dust into tiny floating stars. I never opened the final page. Some memories are beautiful because they remain incomplete. Time doesn't erase the smallest moments, it simply folds them into places we visit without knowing. At 3:17, I folded the letter just as carefully as before. At 3:17, the wind carried a few leaves across the old alley, and I smiled, not because I remembered everything, but because I remembered enough. "3:35, the mailbox remained. The street grew quiet, and another season turned its page." Evening arrived. 6:41. The bench by the river saved one quiet seat for the sunset. At 6:41, the water carried pieces of golden light far beyond tomorrow. Maybe peace looks a little like this. Cyclists slowed their pace along the riverside path. Children chase bubbles floating in the breeze. Someone unpacked dinner on a picnic blanket while soft laughter drifted across the grass. A ferry crossed the river without making a hurry. Even the waves seemed to breathe more slowly tonight. A violin echoed from somewhere behind the trees. Two old friends shared roasted sweet potatoes. The coffee truck turned on its little lights as the evening breeze carried the smell of fresh espresso. No one rushed to leave because the sunset hadn't finished speaking yet. The river never keeps the colors of the sky. It simply reflects them for a little while, then quietly lets them go. At 6:41, the bench by the river didn't ask me to stay forever. At 6:41, the evening slowly folded into quiet blue, and I realized some beautiful moments don't belong to us. They simply visit before moving on. 7:03. The first stars appeared. The river grew darker, and the city lights began their song. The afternoon didn't end. It simply became softer. At 5:52, the wind through open windows carried a song. No one was playing at 5:52. The white curtains danced like they remembered every summer that came before. Someone watered plants on a tiny balcony. Children laughed somewhere beyond the alley. Fresh laundry moved with the breeze like quiet flags welcoming evening. The neighborhood bakery The old radio next door stayed silent, yet somehow music filled the street. A grandmother smiled while folding blankets. A cat stretched slowly across warm stone steps. Nothing extraordinary happened that day, and maybe that was exactly why it became beautiful. Some songs are never recorded. They live inside ordinary afternoons, waiting for someone to notice. At 5:52, the wind through open windows carried a song. No one was playing at 5:52. The evening arrived without applause, without goodbye. Only a gentle breeze and a quiet heart, grateful to be here. The curtains rested, the breeze grew still, and summer smiled one last time. Spring arrived without asking. Summer smiled for a little while. Autumn whispered, winter waited, and somehow I was still here. At 7:18, every season found me again on the same old road. At 7:18, the trees had changed, the sky had changed, and quietly so had I. Every season left a little light inside my heart. The flower shop displayed new colors. The cafe windows caught another spring. Children chased kites across the open field, while bicycles rested under quiet trees. The city kept changing its clothes, one season after another, without ever forgetting itself. The baker learned a few more wrinkles. The bookstore changed its front display. The river carried another sunset just as softly as before. I realized home was never one single place. It was every ordinary moment that stayed with me. The seasons never asked me to hold on, they simply taught me how beautiful The cafe still welcomed another evening. Nothing stayed the same, yet somehow everything still felt like home. The lights came on across the neighborhood. Another season quietly began. Morning arrived in quiet colors. The city stretched before the crowd. Another day without a promise still felt worth beginning. At 7:12 the first coffee was too hot to drink too fast. At 7:12 the morning smiled through the window as if it knew today would be a gentle one. The cafe owner lifted the blinds. Golden sunlight filled the wooden floor. A bicycle rested beside the entrance. Fresh bread waited behind the glass. Someone unfolded the morning newspaper. Another person ordered coffee without looking at the menu. Steam floated slowly above my cup, drawing little clouds into the air. Outside the flower shop placed fresh daisies by the sidewalk. The traffic lights changed quietly while sparrows gathered near the corner cafe. The city never hurried to become beautiful. It simply was. Some mornings don't need big adventures, only warm coffee, soft sunlight, and enough time to notice them. At 7:12 the first coffee was too hot, but I didn't mind. At 7:12 the city awakened. One smile, one bicycle, one bakery, one window at a time. And somehow that was enough. The cup grew warmer, the street grew brighter, and the day quietly began. Morning drifted in without knocking. Only the wind knew the way. At 7:46 someone left the window open, and summer walked inside. At 7:46 the curtains danced like quiet waves, making an ordinary room feel alive again. The coffee was still warm beside yesterday's book. A little radio played somewhere downstairs. Sunlight rested softly across the wooden floor, drawing quiet patterns create. Outside, a flower vendor arranged white lilies one by one as bicycles rolled past sleepy cafes. The breeze carried fresh bread from the bakery across the street. A young painter opened her studio, while an old couple watered tiny plants. Nothing special happened. The city simply breathed, and somehow that was enough to make the day beautiful. Sometimes happiness does knock, it slips inside with the morning wind. Before we even notice, it's already here. At 7:46, someone left the window open, and my thoughts became lighter. At 7:46, the sunlight lingered, the curtains whispered, and the whole morning felt like a song no one wanted to end. The breeze grew softer, the kettle began to sing. Another peaceful day had quietly begun. Morning arrived in quiet colors, the city stretched before the crowd. Another day without a promise still felt worth beginning. At 7:12, the first coffee was too hot to drink too fast. At 7:12, the morning smiled through the window as if it knew today would be a gentle one. The cafe owner lifted the blinds, golden sunlight filled the wooden floor. A bicycle rested beside the entrance. Fresh bread waited behind the glass. Someone unfolded the morning newspaper. Another person ordered coffee without looking at the menu. Steam floated slowly above my cup, drawing little clouds into the air. Outside, the flower shop placed fresh daisies by the sidewalk. The traffic lights changed quietly while sparrows gathered near the corner cafe. The city never hurried to become beautiful. It simply was. Some mornings don't need big adventures, only warm coffee, soft sunlight, and enough time to notice them. At 7:12, the first coffee was too hot, but I didn't mind. At 7:12, the city awakened. One smile, one bicycle, one bakery, one window at a time. And somehow that was enough. The cup grew warmer, the street grew brighter, and the day quietly began. Traffic lights awoke before the city. Morning waited at every corner. bicycle stopped beside the signal. Someone carried fresh tulips home. The newspaper stand open for the day. Warm coffee cups passed from hand to hand. The bakery windows caught the early sunshine, turning every loaf into little pieces of morning gold. Office workers smiled behind paper cups. A school bell echoed from a nearby street. An elderly man fed the pigeons without saying a single word. The traffic started like gentle music, never rushing, only flowing toward another day. Some mornings don't become memories because they were extraordinary. They become memories because we noticed them. At 8:09, the morning light reached the crosswalk and quietly reached me too. At 8:09, the signal turned green. The city moved forward, one careful step, one quiet smile, one ordinary miracle at a time. The streets grew brighter, the cafes grew louder, and another story found its beginning. Morning drifted in without knocking, only the wind knew the way. At 7:46, someone left the window open and summer walked inside. At 7:46, the curtain stands like quiet waves, making an ordinary room feel alive again. The coffee was still warm beside yesterday's book. A little radio played somewhere downstairs. Sunlight rested softly across the wooden floor, drawing quiet patterns only morning could create. Outside, a flower vendor arranged white lilies one by one as bicycles rolled past sleepy cafes. The breeze carried fresh bread from the bakery across the street. A young painter opened her studio while an old couple watered tiny plants. Nothing special happened. The city simply breathed, and somehow that was enough to make the day beautiful. Sometimes happiness doesn't knock, it slips inside. With the morning wind, before we even notice, it's already here. It's 7:46, someone left the window open and my thoughts became lighter. At 7:46, the sunlight lingered, the curtains whispered, and the whole morning felt like a song no one wanted to end. The breeze grew softer, the kettle began to sing. Another peaceful day had quietly begun. Morning arrived in quiet colors. The city stretched before the crowd. Another day without a promise still felt worth beginning. At 7:12, the first coffee was too hot to drink too fast. At 7:12, the morning smiled through the window as if it knew today would be a gem. cafe owner lifted the blinds, golden sunlight filled the wooden floor. A bicycle rested beside the entrance. Fresh bread waited behind the glass. Someone unfolded the morning newspaper. Another person ordered coffee without looking at the menu. Steam floated slowly above my cup, drawing little clouds into the air outside. The flower shop placed fresh daisies by the sidewalk. The traffic lights changed quietly while sparrows gathered near the corner cafe. The city never hurried to become beautiful. It simply was. Some mornings don't need big adventures, only warm coffee, soft sunlight, and enough time to notice them. At 7:12 the first coffee was too hot, but I didn't mind. At 7:12 the city awakened. One smile, one bicycle, one bakery, one window at a time. And somehow that was enough. The breeze grew softer, the kettle began to sing. Another peaceful day had quietly begun. Morning arrived in quiet colors. The city stretched before the crowd. Another day without a promise still felt worth beginning. At 7:12 the first coffee was too hot to drink too fast. The street was waking, one little shop at a time. Morning smelled like fresh beginnings. At 8:37 the bakery smelled like Sunday, though it was only Tuesday. At 8:37 fresh bread filled the morning, and somehow everything felt slower. The baker smiled without saying much, dusting flour across the counter. Steam escaped from warm baguettes, fogging up the front window. Someone carried a paper bag close to their chest like a small treasure, walking slowly toward home. Across the street a florist laughed while arranging white daisies. The cafe next door ground fresh beans, filling the air with another kind of comfort. A little dog waited patiently outside the bakery, hoping for one tiny crumb. Maybe happiness has a fragrance, warm bread, fresh coffee, and enough time to enjoy them. At 8:37 the bakery smelled like Sunday, even on an ordinary Tuesday. At 8:37 the bells above the door rang once more, as another morning quietly reminded me that ordinary days can become the ones we remember. The shelves grew emptier, the streets grew busier, but the smell stayed with me all day long. The traffic lights awoke before the city. Morning waited at every corner. At 8:09 the morning light reached the crosswalk before anyone crossed the street. At 8:09 the whole city held its breath for one small, beautiful bicycle stopped beside the signal. Someone carried fresh tulips home. The newspaper stand opened for the day. Warm coffee cups passed from hand to hand. The bakery windows caught the early sunshine, turning every loaf into little pieces of morning gold. Office workers smiled behind paper cups. A school bell echoed from a nearby street. An elderly man fed the pigeons without saying a single word. The traffic started like gentle music, never rushing, only flowing toward another day. Some mornings don't become memories because they were extraordinary. They become memories because we notice them. At 8 the morning light reached the crosswalk and quietly reached me too. At 8:09 the signal turned green. The city moved forward, one careful step, one quiet smile, one ordinary miracle at a time. The streets grew brighter, the cafes grew louder, and another story found its beginning. Morning drifted in without knocking, only the wind knew the way. Someone left the window open and someone walked inside. The curtains danced like quiet waves, making an ordinary room feel alive again. The coffee was still warm beside yesterday's book. A little radio played somewhere downstairs. Sunlight rested softly across the wooden floor, drawing quiet patterns only morning could create outside. A flower vendor arranged white lilies one by one. His bicycles rolled past sleepy cafes. The breeze carried fresh bread from the bakery across the street. A young painter opened her studio while an old couple watered tiny plants. Nothing special happened, the city simply breathed, and somehow that was enough to make the day beautiful. Sometimes happiness doesn't knock, it slips inside with the morning wind. Before we even notice, it's already here. Someone left the window open and my thoughts became lighter. The sunlight lingered, the curtains whispered, and the whole morning felt like a song no one wanted to end. The breeze grew softer, the kettle began to sing. Another peaceful day had quietly begun. Morning arrived in quiet colors, the city stretched before the crowd. Another day without a promise still felt worth beginning. The first coffee was too hot to drink too fast. At 7:12 the morning smiled through the window as if it knew today would be a gentle one. The cafe owner lifted the blinds, golden sunlight filled the wooden floor. A bicycle rested beside the entrance, fresh bread waited behind the glass. Someone unfolded the morning newspaper. Another person ordered coffee without looking at the menu. Steam floated slowly above my cup, drawing little clouds into the air. Outside the flower shop placed fresh daisies by the sidewalk. The traffic lights changed quietly while sparrows gathered near the corner cafe. The city never hurried to become beautiful, it simply was. Some mornings don't need big adventures, only warm coffee, soft sunlight, and enough time to notice them. The first coffee was too hot, but I didn't mind. The city awakened, one smile, one bicycle, one bicycle, one bakery, one wonder at a time. And somehow that was enough. The breeze grew softer, the kettle began to sing. Another peaceful day had quietly begun. Morning arrived in quiet colors, the city stretched of the cafe door still sounded exactly the same. At 9:18, your favorite corner table waited quietly by the window. At 9:18, morning sunlight poured across the chair as if someone would arrive any minute. The menu had changed since last autumn, but the coffee still tasted familiar. A young couple shared one cheesecake while an old man read the newspaper. The barista smiled, recognizing familiar faces without asking what they would order. Some mornings need no words. Outside, the trees swayed gently. A dog waited patiently beside its owner. Fresh flowers decorated every table, and soft jazz floated through the room. I noticed your favorite corner was never empty. It was filled with quiet memories. Some places remember us even after the footsteps fade. They quietly wait without expecting anything in return. At 9:18, your favorite corner table caught the morning light one more time. At 9:18, I raised my coffee toward the window, not to say goodbye, but to thank every ordinary morning we once shared. The coffee cooled, the cafe grew busier, and another beautiful day continued on. The afternoon turned another page quietly without a sound. At 1:24, the bookstore played our song between the shelves of old stories. At 1:24, every page seemed to whisper the memories never really leave. A little bell rang above the door. Someone searched for a travel book. The owner smiled while arranging novels. Beside a wooden ladder, dust floated gently through the afternoon light, landing softly on forgotten covers. Outside, a chestnut tree moved with the breeze. A young student marked another page. An elderly woman browsed the poetry shelf. The cafe next door sent the smell of fresh espresso. Through the open window, a vinyl record played softly, filling the room with melodies that felt older than time. Some songs don't belong to the radio, they the bell rang again. Someone walked inside, and another story found its reader. The little bell above the cafe door still sounded exactly the same. At 9:18, your favorite corner table waited quietly by the window. At 9:18, morning sunlight poured across the chair, as if someone would arrive any minute. The menu had changed since last autumn, but the coffee still tasted familiar. A young couple shared one cheesecake while an old man read the newspaper. The barista smiled, recognizing familiar faces without asking what they would order. Some mornings need no words. Outside, the trees swayed gently. A dog waited patiently beside its owner. Fresh flowers decorated every table, and soft jazz floated through the room. I noticed your favorite corner was never empty. It was filled with quiet memories. Some places remember us even after the footsteps fade. They quietly wait without expecting anything in return. At 9:18, your favorite corner table caught the morning light one more time. At 9:18, I raised my coffee toward the window, not to say goodbye, but to thank every ordinary morning we once shared. The coffee cooled, the cafe grew busier, and another beautiful day continued on. Afternoon sunlight rested quietly on every flower by the door. At 2:43, the flowers waiting by the door bloomed without a hurry. At 2:43, the whole street felt a little softer, because beauty didn't ask to be noticed. The florist hummed a familiar melody while trimming stems with careful hands. Buckets of peonies stood beside tulips, their colors dancing in the summer light. A delivery bicycle stopped for a moment, its rider smiled before riding away, leaving only the sound of the wind. A little girl chose one sunflower for her grandmother across the street. The cafe windows reflected clouds floating slowly above the rooftops. An elderly couple bought fresh carnations, holding them gently like precious memories carried home one afternoon at a time. Some kindness never becomes breaking news. It quietly lives inside simple afternoons like this. 6:43, the flowers waiting by the door welcomed everyone the same way. I realized not every beautiful thing needs to last forever. Sometimes it only needs to brighten someone's day. The shop bell rang, another bouquet left, and another smile stayed behind. Clouds gathered without a warning. Then summer began to sing. At 3:36, a small umbrella turned the rain into quiet music. At 3:36, every raindrop found a rhythm on the little streets of the afternoon. The bookstore closed its wooden windows. The flower shop moved the bouquets inside. Steam rose gently from the cafe door, while people laughed, waiting for the rain. Children splashed through little puddles without worrying about tomorrow. The city slowed down just enough to breathe. Bus arrived with foggy windows. Someone wiped a circle clear. A young violinist sheltered beneath the station roof, still practicing one quiet melody. The rain softened every sound, turning busy streets into peaceful stories written in water. Maybe rain was never meant to stop us. Maybe it simply asked us to slow down for a while. At 3:36, a small umbrella was enough for the whole afternoon. At 3:36, the clouds drifted toward another neighborhood, leaving behind fresh air, clean sidewalks, and quieter hearts. The sunshine returned, one window at a time, and summer smiled again. The afternoon became quieter as sunlight moved across the floor. letters hidden in my drawer found me again. At 4:28, the faded ink still carried the warmth of another season. Some words never grow old. A wooden desk near the window held a lifetime of little things. Old postcards, movie tickets, pressed flowers between notebook pages. Outside, the laundry swayed above the quiet alley, while distant laughter echoed softly from the playground. I untied the faded ribbon carefully, as if time could hear me. Every letter smelled faintly of old paper, coffee, and autumn rain. Some pages had begun to curl at the edges, yet every sentence still felt wonderfully alive. To read them again. At 4:28, the letters hidden in my drawer asked for nothing at all. At 4:28, I smiled, folded them gently and placed them back, not because I wanted to forget, but because some memories feel safer at home. The sunlight faded, the room grew golden, and the afternoon turned another page. The afternoon folded itself into quiet shades of gold. The city slowed just enough to hear its own heartbeat. At 5:18, the bus arrived without you, but the sunset saved me a seat. At 5:18, the windows glowed like little memories, passing slowly through the evening. The driver smiled to every passenger without asking where they had been. A student rested against the window, watching bridges slide by outside. The river shimmered under the fading sun. Cyclists follow the riverside path toward home. The cafe lights began to glow, one table empty, another filled. A violin echoed from the underpass, blending softly with the city breeze. I watched the empty seat beside me until I realized it wasn't waiting for anyone. It was simply part of the journey. quietly teach us how to walk on our own. At 5:18 the bus arrived without you, yet the evening felt complete. At 5:18 the sky turned amber, the lights came on, and somewhere between one stop and the next I learned that moving forward can also be a beautiful memory. The bus disappeared beyond the bridge while the first stars waited patiently for the night. The afternoon became quieter as sunlight moved across the floor. At 4:28 the letters hidden in my drawer found me again. At 4:28 the faded ink still carried the warmth of another season. Some words never grow old. A wooden desk near the window held a lifetime of little things. Old postcards, movie tickets, pressed flowers. Between notebook pages outside, the laundry swayed above the quiet alley, while distant laughter echoed softly from the playground. I untied the faded ribbon carefully, as if time could hear me. Every letter smelled faintly of old paper, coffee, and autumn rain. Some pages had begun to curl at the edges, yet every sentence still felt wonderfully alive. Maybe memories don't hide inside drawers, they simply wait until we're ready to read them again. At 4, the letters hidden in my drawer asked for nothing at all. At 4:28 I smiled, folded them gently and placed them back. Not because I wanted to forget, but because some memories feel safer at home. The sunlight faded, the room grew golden, and the afternoon turned another page. The evening arrived, wearing quiet colors. The river already knew the sun was saying goodbye. At 6:12 the river remembered our names long after the city forgot. At 6:12 golden waves carried yesterday toward tomorrow without looking back. Cyclists slowed beside the river, a paper cup still warm in my hands. The bridge lights waited patiently for the evening to become night. Someone played a soft saxophone near the riverside path. Its melody drifted like the breeze across the water. Families packed their picnic blankets, children chased the last light. A ferry crossed the quiet river, leaving silver circles behind. The skyline glowed window by window, every home had its own little story to tell. Rivers never ask who stayed or who left, they simply keep flowing, teaching us that peace can move forward too. At 6:12, the river remembered our names, but my heart remembered peace. At 6:12, the evening breeze carried quiet hope across the water, and I smiled without needing any reason at all. The first bridge lights touched the river, and another evening found its place inside me. The afternoon folded itself into quiet shades of gold. The city slowed just enough to hear its own heartbeat. At 5:18, the bus arrived without you, but the sunset saved me a seat. At 5:18, the windows glowed like little memories passing slowly through the evening. The driver smiled to every passenger without asking where they had been. A student rested against the window, watching bridges slide by. Outside, the river shimmered under the fading sun. Cyclists followed the riverside path toward home. The cafe lights began to glow. One table emptied, another filled. A violin echoed from the underpass, blending softly with the city breeze. I watched the empty seat beside me until I realized it wasn't waiting for anyone. It was simply part of the journey. Some roads are meant to be shared, others quietly teach us how to walk on our own. At 5:18, the bus arrived without you, yet the evening felt complete. At 5:18, the sky turned amber, the lights came on, and somewhere between one stop and the next, I learned that moving forward can also be a beautiful memory. The bus disappeared beyond the bridge while the first stars waited patiently for the night. The afternoon became quieter as sunlight moved across the floor. At 4, the letters hidden in my drawer found me again. At 4:28, the faded ink still carried the warmth of another season. Some words never grew old. A wooden desk near the window held a lifetime of little things. Old postcards, movie tickets, pressed flowers between notebook pages outside. The laundress swayed above the quiet alley while distant laughter echoed softly from the playground. I untied the faded ribbon carefully as if time could hear me. Every letter smelled faintly of old paper, coffee, and autumn rain. Some pages had begun to curl at the edges, yet every sentence still felt wonderfully alive. Maybe memories don't hide inside drawers, they simply wait until we're ready to read them again. At 4 quiet minute at a time. The city didn't become louder, it simply began to glow. At 6:47, lights across the bridge came alive one by one, like quiet promises. At 6:47, the river below collected every light and carried them into the night. The evening breeze crossed the bridge, carrying the smell of roasted chestnuts. Someone stopped to take a photograph, while another simply watched. The cafes turned on their lamps, soft conversations drifted into the air as another evening found its rhythm. A couple walked slowly without saying much. A runner paused to catch the sunset. The first subway passed beneath the bridge, its windows glowing like moving stars. The skyline shimmered far beyond the river, every building holding another story, waiting for tomorrow. Maybe hope looks like this, not loud, not dramatic, just one small light turning on after another. At 6:47, lights across the bridge led the way without a map. At 6:47, the evening wrapped around the city like a favorite song, soft enough to remember, strong enough to stay. The bridge reflected across the river, and night quietly arrived. The evening arrived wearing quiet colors. The river already knew the sun was saying goodbye. At 6:12, the river remembered our names long after the city forgot. At 6:12, the golden waves carried yesterday toward tomorrow without looking back. Cyclists slowed beside the river, a paper cup still warm in my hands. The bridge lights waited patiently for the evening to become night. Someone played a soft saxophone near the riverside path. Its melody drifted like the breeze across the water. Families packed their picnic blankets, children chased the last light. A ferry crossed the quiet river, leaving silver circles behind. The skyline glowed, window by window, as if every home had its own little story to tell. Rivers never ask who stayed or who left, they simply keep flowing, teaching us that peace can move forward too. At 6:12, the river remembered our names, but my heart remembered peace. At 6:12, the evening breeze carried quiet hope across the water, and I smiled without needing any reason at all. The first bridge lights touched the river, and another evening found its place inside me. The afternoon folded itself into quiet shades of gold. The city slowed just enough to hear its own heartbeat. At 5, the ride without you, but the sunset saved me a seat. At 5:18, the windows glowed like little memories passing slowly through the evening. The driver her smile to every passenger without asking where they had been. A student rested against the window, watching bridges slide by. Outside, the river shimmered under the fading sun. Cyclists followed the riverside path toward home. The cafe lights began to glow. One table emptied, another filled. A violin echoed from the underpass, blending softly with the city breeze. I watched the empty seat beside me until I realized it wasn't waiting for anyone. It was simply part of the journey. Some roads are meant to be shared, others quietly teach us how to walk on our own. At 5, the bus arrived without you, yet the evening felt complete. At 5:18, the sky turned amber, the lights came on, and somewhere between one stop and the next I learned that moving forward can also be a beautiful memory. The bus disappeared beyond the bridge while the first stars waited patiently for the night. The afternoon became quieter as sunlight moved across the floor. The letters hidden in my drawer found me again. The faded ink still carried the warmth of another season. Some words never grow old. A wooden desk near the window held a lifetime of little things, old postcards, movie tickets, pressed flowers between notebook pages. Outside, the laundry swayed above the quiet alley while distant laughter echoed softly from the playground. I untied the faded ribbon carefully, as if time could hear me. Every letter smelled vaguely of old paper, coffee, and autumn rain. Some pages had begun to curl at the edges, yet every sentence still felt wonderfully alive. Maybe memories don't hide inside drawers, they simply wait until we're ready to read them again. The letters hidden in my drawer asked for nothing at all. I smiled, folded them gently, and placed them back, not because I learned that moving forward can also be a beautiful memory. The bus disappeared. The rain had ended without saying goodbye. Tiny drops still rested on the cafe window. At 7:26, the coffee tasted warmer after the rain had gone away. At 7:26, the quiet evening wrapped around me like an old sweater I never wanted to take off. Street lights shimmered across wet pavement. Every reflection looks softer tonight. The barista smiled while drying cups. A slow jazz record played in the background outside. Umbrellas folded one after another. The city breathed with clean air and quiet hearts. A woman wrote inside her notebook. A man closed the novel he'd finished. Someone laughed near the doorway. The sound lingering long after it faded. Steam curled gently above my mug, as if the evening still had one more story to tell. 7:26, the coffee tasted warmer because the rain had finally listened. At 7:26, the city lights began to sparkle, and I realized peace isn't found at the end of perfect days. It's found after ordinary ones. The last raindrop slipped from the window. The cafe lights glowed a little brighter, and evening felt like home. The streets had grown quieter. The evening wrapped the city in soft amber light. At 8:18, we walked home in silence, yet every step felt like a conversation. At 8:18, the streetlights guided our shadows without asking where we belonged. The little bookstore turned off its lights. The bakery closed its wooden door. Someone stacked the cafe chairs outside for tomorrow morning. The evening breeze carried the smell of roasted chestnuts through the old alley as windows glowed one by one. Our footsteps echoed across old stones. Neither of us tried to fill the quiet, because some moments become perfect only when nothing is spoken. A cat wandered between the houses, then disappeared into another story, waiting for another night. Not every memory needs a farewell. Some simply continue walking beside us long after the road has ended. At 8:18, we walked home in silence, and somehow that was enough. At 8:18, the moon climbed higher, the city slowed, the night grew warmer, and I realized the most beautiful conversations sometimes happen without words. The last cafe light turned off, but the warmth stayed with me all the way home. The rain had ended without saying goodbye. Tiny drops still rested on the cafe window. The coffee tasted warmer after the rain had gone away. At 7:26, the quiet evening wrapped around me like an old sweater I never wanted to take off. Streetlights shimmered across wet pavement. Every reflection looked softer tonight. The barista smiled while drying cups. A slow jazz record played in the background. Outside, umbrellas folded one after another. The city breathed with clean air and quiet hearts. A woman wrote inside her notebook. A man closed the novel he'd finished. Someone laughed near the doorway, the sound lingering long after it faded. Steam curled gently above my mug, as if the evening still had one more story to tell. Not every storm leaves behind broken things. Sometimes it simply leaves a quieter heart. The coffee tasted warmer because the rain had finally listened. At 7:26, the city lights began to sparkle, and I realized peace isn't found at the end of perfect days. It's found after ordinary ones. The last raindrop slipped from the window. The cafe lights glowed a little brighter, and evening felt like home. The park grew quiet. One path, one tree, one light at a time. At 9:07, the last bench in the park waited patiently for tired hearts. At 9:07, the evening breeze turned another page, while the city became softer with every breath. The fountain rested without a sound. Only the leaves continued talking. A runner slowed into a walk, listening to the quiet above the trees. The moon appeared without asking for anyone to notice its light. A paper cup sat beside the bench, still holding a little warmth far away. The city lights blinking gently like distant stars. Someone whispered good night while walking home. The sound faded, but the kindness stayed behind. Some places don't change the world, they simply give us a place to breathe again. At 9:07, the last bench in the park asked for nothing except one quiet moment. At 9:07, the autumn trees watching the lights beyond the hill, and realized resting is also moving forward. The wind settled, the branches stood still, and the night wrapped the city in quiet peace. The streets had grown quieter. The evening wrapped the city in soft amber light. At 8:18, we walked home in silence, yet every step felt like a conversation. At 8:18, the streetlights guided our shadows, without asking where we belong. The little bookstore turned off its lights, the bakery closed its wooden doors. Someone stacked the cafe chairs outside for tomorrow morning. The evening breeze carried the smell of roasted chestnuts through the old alley as windows glowed one by one. Our footsteps echoed across old stones. Neither of us tried to fill the quiet, because some moments become perfect only when nothing is spoken. A cat wandered between the houses, then disappeared into another story, waiting for another night. Not every memory needs a farewell. Some simply continue walking beside us long after the road has ended. At 9:07, the last bench in the park asked for nothing except one quiet moment. At 9:07, my city slowed, the night grew warmer, and I realized the most beautiful conversations sometimes happen without words. The last cafe light turned off, but the warmth stayed with me all the way home. The rain had ended without saying goodbye. Tiny drops still rested on the cafe window. At 7, tasted warmer after the rain had gone away. The quiet evening wrapped around me like an old sweater I never wanted to take off. Streetlights shimmered across wet pavement. Every reflection looked softer tonight. The barista smiled while drying cups. A slow jazz record played in the background outside. Umbrellas folded one after another. The city breathed with clean air and quiet hearts. A woman wrote inside her notebook. A man closed the novel he'd finished. Someone laughed near the doorway, the sound lingering long after it faded. Steam curled gently above my mug, as if the evening still had one more story to tell. Not every storm leaves behind broken things. Sometimes it simply leaves a quieter heart. The coffee tasted warmer because the rain had finally listened. The city lights began to sparkle, and I realized peace isn't found at the end of perfect days. It's found after ordinary ones. The last raindrop slipped from the window. The cafe lights glowed a little brighter, and evening felt like home. Night settled across the rooftops. One window after another glowed softly like tiny stars. At 9:43, the moon above apartment 302 stayed quietly above the roof. At 9:43, one warm window shined brighter than the city lights. Somewhere, someone had finally come home. The elevator stopped gently on the 3rd floor. A kettle sang inside a quiet kitchen. Someone watered the little plants on the balcony while curtains moved with the evening breeze. A television played softly behind another of shoes waited by the door. A favorite sweater hung on the chair. The smell of soup drifted gently through the hallway, welcoming another night outside. The moon watched every apartment without choosing just one. Every light was someone's story. Home isn't always a place we find. Sometimes it's a light still waiting when the day is finally over. At 9:43, the moon above apartment 302 didn't feel far away at all. At 9:43, I turned my key, opened the door, and suddenly the longest day became the quietest night. The hallway lights turned themselves off. The moon remained, watching over every home. The park grew quiet. One path, one tree, one light at a time. At 9:07, the last bench in the park waited patiently for tired hearts. At 9:07, the evening breeze turned another page, while the city became softer with every breath. The fountain rested without a sound, only the leaves continued talking. A runner slowed into a walk, listening to the quiet above the trees. The moon appeared without asking for anyone to notice its light. A paper cup sat beside the bench, still holding a little warmth far away. The city lights blinking gently like distant stars. Someone whispered goodnight. While walking home, the sound faded, but the kindness stayed behind. Some places don't change the world, they simply give us a place to breathe again. At 9:07, the last bench in the park asked for nothing except one quiet moment. At 9:07, I sat beneath the autumn trees, watching the lights beyond the hill, and realized resting is also moving forward. The wind settled, the branches stood still, and the night wrapped the city in quiet peace. The streets had grown quieter. The evening wrapped the city in soft amber light. We walked home in silence, yet every step felt like a conversation. The streetlights guided our shadows without asking where we belonged. The little bookstore turned off its lights. The bakery closed its wooden door. Someone stacked the cafe chairs outside for tomorrow morning. The evening breeze carried the smell of roasted chestnuts through the old alley as windows glowed. One by one, our footsteps echoed across old stones. Neither of us tried to fill the quiet, because some moments become perfect only when nothing is spoken. A cat wandered between the houses, then disappeared into another story, waiting for another night. We walked home in silence, and somehow that was enough. The moon climbed higher, the city slowed, the night grew warmer, and I realized the most beautiful conversations sometimes happen without words. The last cafe light turned off, but the warmth stayed with me all the way home. The rain had ended without saying goodbye. Tiny drops still rested on the cafe window. The coffee tasted warmer after the rain had gone away. The quiet evening wrapped around me like an old sweater I never wanted to take off. Streetlights shimmered across wet pavement. Every reflection looked softer tonight. The barista smiled while drying cups. A slow jazz record played in the background. Outside, umbrellas folded one after another. The city breathed with clean air and quiet hearts. A woman wrote inside a notebook. A man closed the novel he'd finished. Someone laughed near the doorway, the sound lingering. Night settled gently across the rooftops. One window, one family, one quiet dream at a time. At 10:18, every window had a story. Every light felt like home. At 10:18, the whole neighborhood glowed together like stars that chose to live on earth. A father washed the dinner dishes. A grandmother knitted beside the television. Someone practiced an old piano very softly behind thin walls. A child laughed somewhere upstairs, while warm soup filled another kitchen. The evening quietly wrapped every family in gentle light. Laundry swayed on a tiny balcony. A cat curled up near the window. Someone watered herbs before going to bed. Another apartment still smelled like fresh bread. The moon looked down without choosing which story to remember first, because every light was beautiful. We often think we're alone, yet every window holds another heart, learning, living, hoping, just like ours. At 10:18, every window had a story. None of them needed to be famous. At 10:18, the city became a little quieter, and somehow a little kinder, because home was of the rooftops, watching every ordinary life. The cafe turned the lights lower. The city whispered instead of speaking. Night had finally found its rhythm. At 10:56, the last song before midnight filled the room like warm light. At 10:56, the record spun one more time as the whole city slowed its heartbeat for the night. Only a few tables were still occupied. A writer closed his notebook gently. The barista polished the final coffee cup, while soft jazz floated through the quiet room outside. The streets reflected amber lights after another peaceful day. The last subway crossed the bridge like a ribbon of quiet light. A taxi passed without a hurry, its headlights drawing soft lines across the pavement. The record player kept turning even after the music faded, as if silence needed company. Every day ends differently, but every night offers the same gift, a chance to rest without regret. At 10:56, the last song before midnight didn't ask to be remembered. At 10:56, it simply stayed long enough to remind me that peace can sound exactly like this. The needle lifted, the cafe grew still, the lights dimmed one by one, and the night smiled softly, night settled gently. Across the rooftops, one window, one family, one quiet dream at a time. Every window had a story, every light felt like home. At 10:18, the whole neighborhood glowed together like stars that chose to live on Earth. A father washed the dinner dishes, a grandmother knitted beside the television. Someone practiced an old piano very softly behind thin walls. A child laughed somewhere upstairs while warm soup filled another kitchen. The evening quietly wrapped every family in gentle light. Laundry swayed on a tiny balcony, a cat curled up near the window. Someone watered herbs before going to bed. Another apartment still smelled like fresh bread. The moon looked down without choosing which story to remember first, because every light was beautiful. We often think we're alone, yet every window holds another heart, learning, living, hoping just like ours. At 10, a window had a story. None of them needed to be famous. At 10:18, the city became a little quieter and somehow a little kinder, because home was everywhere. Tonight, one light faded, another stayed on. The moon smiled above the rooftops, watching every ordinary life. The rooftops fell asleep, one by one. Only the moon stayed awake, watching quietly. At 11:27, I whispered goodnight to today without regret. At 11:27, tomorrow waited beyond the stars, patiently, without asking me to hurry. The last apartment turned off its light. A bicycle rested beside the gate. The bakery prepared tomorrow's dough. Long before the morning arrived, far away, a train crossed the sleeping city, its quiet rhythm echoing softly through the night. The coffee cup was finally empty, the notebook closed itself. A gentle breeze touched the curtains, like someone saying, everything is alright. I looked across the rooftops, realizing every ending was already making room for another beginning. The night never promises a perfect tomorrow. It simply promises another sunrise, and sometimes that is enough. At 11:27, I whispered goodnight to today with a grateful heart. At 11:27, the moon smiled above the rooftops, and somewhere beyond the darkness, morning had already started its journey. The lantern dimmed, the stars remained, and tomorrow quietly waited just beyond the night. The cafe turned the lights lower, the city whispered instead of speaking. Night had finally found its rhythm. At 10:56, the last song before midnight filled the room like warm light. At 10:56, the record spun one more time, as the whole city slowed its heartbeat for the night. Only a few tables were still occupied. A writer closed his notebook gently. The barista polished the final coffee cup, while soft jazz floated through the quiet room outside. The streets reflected amber light, peaceful day. The last subway crossed the bridge like a ribbon of quiet light. A taxi passed without a hurry, its headlights drawing soft lines across the pavement. The record player kept turning even after the music faded, as if silence needed company. Every day ends differently, but every night offers the same gift, a chance to rest without regret. Oh, the 10th, the last song before midnight didn't ask to be remembered. At 10:50 stayed long enough to remind me that peace can sound exactly like this. The needle lifted, the cafe grew still, the lights dimmed one by one, and the night smiled softly. Night settled gently across the rooftops. One window, one family, one quiet dream at a time. Every window had a story, every light felt like home. The whole neighborhood glowed together like stars that chose to live on earth. A father washed the dinner dishes, a grandmother knitted beside the television. Someone practiced an old piano very softly behind thin walls. A child laughed somewhere upstairs while warm soup filled another kitchen. The evening quietly wrapped every family in gentle light. Laundry swayed on a tiny balcony, a cat curled up near the window. Someone watered herbs before going to bed. Another apartment still smelled like fresh bread. The moon looked down without choosing which story to remember first, because every light was beautiful. We often think we're alone, yet every window holds another heart, learning, living, hoping, just like ours. Every window had a story, none of them needed to be famous. And the city became a little quiet and somehow a little kinder, because home was everywhere tonight. The needle lifted, the cafe grew still, the lights dimmed one by one, and the night smiled softly. Night settled gently across the rooftops. One window, one family, one quiet dream at a time. Every window had a story, every light felt like home. The whole neighborhood glowed together like stars that chose to live on earth. A father washed the dinner dishes, a grandmother knitted beside the television. Someone practiced an old piano very soft. Midnight arrived without a sound. The city breathed a little slower. Streetlights shimmered like quiet stars scattered below. The night sky at 11:59. Good night, my beautiful city. Thank you for today. At 11:59, every light still shining below reminded me that hope never sleeps. The cafes rested behind quiet windows. The bakery bakery, prepare tomorrow's bread. The river reflected the final moonlight like silver pages closing softly somewhere. A late train crossed the bridge, its gentle rhythm echoing through sleeping streets. The flowers closed their petals, waiting for another sunrise. Apartment windows dimmed one by one, while the moon stayed awake, watching gently over everyone. No applause, no grand ending, only another beautiful day, finding peace. Maybe happiness was never a destination. Maybe it was hidden inside every ordinary day, every quiet street, every cup of coffee, every walk home, and every light that welcomed us back again. At 11:59, good night, my beautiful city. I'll see you when morning comes. At 11:59, the stars above, the lights below, and the quiet inside my heart became one gentle song.